I would always look at the books and I would say I wanted to be a hairdresser. And he's like, well, you shouldn't be a hairdresser because they're all gay. And then I was like, oh, well, guess what? My poor father. But anyway, so later on, I wanted to go to art school. And so when I got out of high school, instead of going right to college or art school, I had finished my in high school beauty school. So I could do hair while I was going to art school. But what happened when I got my license 6 months after I graduated from high school is that I loved it so much that I never went to art school.
Mm.
So
So
I've been doing
an
it.
artistic side.
Yeah, I started beauty school when I was a senior in high school in '87. So I've been doing hair ever since.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Go ahead.
No, I just, I can't imagine doing any other job. It's just what I'm meant to do. I always freak out that if something happens to me, I mean, I've always had disability, but I'm like, what would I do with my life if I wasn't doing hair? That would be
crazy.
Weird.
You know, I think I'm going to be celebrating 36 or 37 years in beauty this year. And a lot of people don't know that I'm a licensed cosmetologist. And I started out as an educator, like a lot of people, and I worked for Matrix, Sebastian, and Ava in the education teams, and did some platform work as well. But I got to tell you, there was something missing for me in being artistic in that way, and I found that my true creativity was more in the business side of the industry. And that's why I'm such a believer in the education that this industry offers and the educators that provide it, and making sure that the value of education keeps going, keeps getting up leveled.
Yes. Muy importante.
It is important, especially right now, because we're struggling as an industry. We've got a lot of deregulation on the table, a lot of changes in the way that the system is working. Beauty schools are struggling. $30,000 to be in beauty school is just not, it's not sellable. Right. And they've always said when the economy's good, trade schools are down. When the economy's bad, trade schools go up, because it provides an avenue, a skill set for people to be able to get in and get a job.
Right. I think right now, it seem like the industry's kind of like when we came into it, like when TG and, Aveda and Paul Mitchell were just kind of getting going and moving against these coming up against as competitors against giant companies. I think it's kind of going back to that. Big companies, super brands own everything, and they're going right to the consumer. They're not even bothering to take care of hairstylists anymore. And I think that's part of why education is so important, is even though it's everywhere, it's still hard to find proper education or really, really meaningful education that's not shoving product down your throat.
Yeah, exactly. I read this article a few months back with Quincy Jones, and he was talking about the evolution of the music industry. And, if you look at the music industry, we've paralleled it pretty well. Yeah. And, artists collaborating with artists, and, all of this, buy my album, buy my LP, buy whatever, iTunes, then all of a sudden now to you can just get music everywhere. And it's really diminished the artistic quality of the musicians. And one of the things that Quincy said in this article was, if you don't have the foundation, and if we stop teaching the foundation of our beginnings, we don't have an industry anymore. That means that anything goes, and it's not the creative art that I think that it was. And I think that's the same thing that's happening with our beauty industry.
So true. It's, I love social media. It's been the best thing, honestly, for me ever, as an independent artist, but there's also a dark side of the force too. And the dark side of the force is doing well right now also.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So you had some good beginnings. You ended up getting into beauty. You didn't finish the art side of things, but you saw that beauty was definitely a path. What was your next steps that you did? Did you go just work in a salon?
Yeah, I assisted in a salon in Denver, and that salon split up twice. So I ended up working in 3 salons in 2 years, and I loved it. Got a lot of great training. I worked with a Latino guy, and I worked with a Black guy that taught me about all kinds of textures and ethnicity of hair. So I was really well-rounded. I was doing tons of perms and tons of color, and jerry curl sets, relaxers on Black women, and I got to know all about Jewish hair because we have a ton of Jewish rich ladies in Denver, and so I have like 1,000 Jewish mothers instead of most people have one. I have 1,000. I got a really great background, and then I went out and started booth renting. And then about 2 years after that, I opened my own salon, and I had salons till 2010.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I worked for Aveda. I loved Aveda. I was a cult member. I worshipped Horst. I still do. I worked with them till 2007, and that's when I really started working just kind of freelance with lots of different product companies. And it kind of was weird not owning a salon and not working for Aveda. I felt a little bit adrift, but now I love being a independent artist. I think I have the best of everything.
There was something very powerful back in those days, when the big manufacturers were housing the educators, but they were training them. They had the right guidelines, the right foundation to train you to be able to be, the entrepreneurs that we are today. I would not be here if it wasn't for the background that I got at Sebastian and Matrix and ABBA. Those were three very instrumental companies that taught me not just education and how to do hair, but the sales component and the entrepreneurial side as well, because I worked for the entrepreneurs before they got sold out. I worked directly for them, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, Aveda taught us how to speak as an educator, how to present ourselves, not only the skills, but all the stuff that went with it, and also how to run a salon. Lots and lots of business training. And I think they still do that. I'm not as familiar, but I know that it's a different time. And, back when we were really cranking out Aveda products, selling a lot, we had our account rep in there 2 times a week and sometimes 3 times a week. And that certainly doesn't happen anymore. That kind of service.
No, the service, the support, it's been a struggle. So, even those key salons that are still out there, making a go out of it, especially the employee-based ones, they really aren't getting the same support that they used to.
It's really, really hard for a fine commission salon to get through because there just isn't the support in the industry that there used to be for that model. I think everybody, wants to go deal with all the salon studio suites and whatever and go into those. And I mean, that has its own challenges, but I think that the pendulum will swing back. There will be,
I think so too,
a resurgence of fine commission salons like Chevello in Toronto or Van Michael salons. I mean, not that they're not there now, but they're not as prevalent anymore. It seems like everybody wants to be booth rent now.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a new rise back to employee-based salons, whether that's commission or whatever the pay structure is. I think it's going to go back to that because I think that one of the things that I talked to, and I know we've got some friends following us right now. So Christian, I'm going to use you as an example. Christian James, it was like there's that part where when you're working independently in your suite, that the reason why we got into this industry was to connect with people. So here you are in this little box working with one client in this little box, and that energy that I think that the reason why we love the salon and the beauty business so much kind of goes away. And I don't think that people realize that could be one of the effects of thinking, hey, I want to be independent, or hey, I want my own suite. But Christian did a really good job because he created a community in Arizona, like Vince and Alan have created a community here in Hairdressers Advice, to bring people together and figure out ways to bring education, to, continually connect with what we say the energy of this industry is.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way, because otherwise we're just not going to get it. Hi, Christian. How are you? What's up?
Yeah, we've got some good things. Now, after because I know that you sold your salon and
yes. Well, I didn't really sell it. We merged with some people and we just decided to split up. That salon still exists. It's not called Planet anymore. It's called Vita now. But it's the same people that we worked with when we were there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Cool. So it's morphed, but it still exists with Aveda still.
Perfect. Now, I know that you're known for Naha.
Yes.
And, kind of coming out of and working with Aveda at that time, and then being able to introduce yourself into Naha. So give us all your good, juicy Naha stories here.
Well, Naha to me is still every bit as valuable as it was before, and maybe in some ways even more, because there's a million competitions out there, but I think that Naha is still the creme de la creme in North America. It's not just one manufacturer or one magazine. It represents the entire industry. So I think it's an important one to enter. And I love the way that they have their categories still. You can really see a body of someone's work. It's not just like one photo or a couple photos, like some of the manufacturer contests. I mean, the manufacturer contests are good too. I'm not saying they're not, but I think Naha is the crown jewel that we have. So that's why I love being on the committee, working really hard with everybody like Michael Sean Corby and Mia Ligori and Chris Sorby and Eric Fisher, and just trying to be custodians of, the industry that we love and make sure that it survives with some kind of respectable quality to it, Yeah. But also Naha is just so much fun. It's just fun to put together the shoots every year. And even if you're not up for it, as painful as it is, when you're not nominated or you don't win, you still have these beautiful pictures at the end of it to promote. And it's an excuse to keep creating beautiful pictures, because that's the other thing about, I've thought a lot about trade magazines too, and Naha. I think one of the great things about them is that it's quality work. Even if you don't like the style of something, the photos are well done. The models are nice. There's a lot of time put into it. It's not just like a crunchy beach wave with mermaid color up against a brick wall, or at the station with bleach bubbling out over it and a bunch of clutter in the background. It's sort of the finest representation of what we do, that kind of work. So that's why I like to support the trade magazines still too, because it's sort of like newspapers. They're have to focus so much on the digital instead of the print, and it's like a beautiful little gift when it comes in the mail. I even love the ads. I love to look at everybody's ads and memorize who's the artistic director of this one or that one or whatever. I'm such a product junkie and hair nerd that I love stalking everybody.
I still love the magazines too. I love seeing who's who and what's up and what's, what they're showcasing. And I can tell you that having the relationship with a couple of the trade magazines, they're always looking for good images, and they're always looking to figure out how to highlight hairdressers in this industry that have the images and have the story behind the images, which is a lot of what, Naha represents, is that collective story behind the images.
And and also, with Naha, back to Naha for a second, it's just still a way to get recognized. You have people's attention for a certain amount of time. I mean, look what's happened with Christian or with Chelsea James from L'Oreal. I mean, she's blown up ever since she won Avant-Garde. And so I think it still really has teeth. I think it's still a really relevant status thing. It's sort of like you've arrived if you win one. And it's an honor, and it's the creme de la creme coming together and doing their work, showcasing their art.
Hey, Steve. Hey, Vince. Hey, Eric Charles. How are you guys? Thanks for joining us. Yeah.
Hey, Eric Charles.
Appreciate you being here. All right. So, Charlie, it wasn't like all, glamorous, process trying to get you to where you are. You struggled quite a bit. Tell us a little bit about.
Oh, it's still not glamorous. I'm still in the middle row at the back of the Southwest jet, trying not to get sucked out the window. I mean, it's still not glamorous. You have to figure out a way to survive as an educator. Well, I think part of it is that I'm not as easy to sell as, like, say, somebody like James Morrison or David Racuglia, these beautiful heartthrob men that are so sophisticated and create a company and then sell it for $1 bazillion. Not that I'm upset about who I am or anything. I don't want to sound like I'm down on myself, but it's harder when you don't like to follow rules. You love being a rebel. You hate being when people tell me what to do, I hate it. So I hate being told what to do. And you've got a manufacturer telling you, oh, you offend people, you're too gay. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm a hairstylist. Isn't that what I'm supposed to do? I'm supposed to be a florist or an interior designer or a hairdresser. I'm too gay to be in my gay ghetto job. So as crazy as it sounds, I have struggled with that prejudice and my chip on my shoulder, as they say. But the older I get, the deeper the chip gets. So I'm just like, whatever, I'm going to be who I am and go forward. And as long as I know that I'm good at what I do and that I can teach people something meaningful in my classes, then whatever they may not, even when they walk in the room, they may not like my voice or like the way I look or some of the things I say, but ultimately I can seduce them and win them over with some kind of knowledge.
Yes, yes. At the end of the day, it does come down to really knowing what you know and being able to be a contribution to share that with others.
And I don't cuss I don't cuss on social media, and I don't cuss in my classes. I have my manners. So,
yeah. And and I think that's always one of the things that we want to be able to kind of like keep upgrading. Like, it doesn't have to be sloppy to
yes.
be good. It doesn't have to be sloppy to have you stand out and be that rebel. You could
right.
be clean and really highly professional, showcase your work well, and still be a rebel.
And I think right now it's fun to teach social media, because clearly I'm not Gordon Miller or Heather Chapman or, Sam V. I don't have 5 bazillion followers, but all I need is what is working for me, and that's what I try to teach hairdressers. You don't have to be Insta famous. You just have to know what you want and market that and look for how many followers and likes and engagement that you need for your objective. So I love that class. I love teaching social media. It's such a fun class, and people are dying for the information, dying for it.
They really are. We're very confused by the how to build it. I mean, it's like I might have 1,000 people on my Instagram, but I have 50,000 people that listen to me on my radio show a month.
Right.
A month. They're listening to me. Now, I can't figure out how to build my Instagram, but it's not as visually stimulating as people that do hair. So it's a more of a challenge for me, but I'm in a platform that's working for me and working for the type of business that I'm in and the type of clientele and ideal client that I'm looking for.
And we probably need a lot less engagement than we think. Like, whenever I have a program for a class, I might only get 20 or 30 likes, whereas I can get, 400 or 500 on a hair photo. But if I get 2 people that will, contact me about a class from that ad that I, put, or that post I put up that got 20 likes, then it's in some cases more successful for how I actually make money than the hair picture that got 500 or 600 likes. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. I mean, you need both. You can't just have ads, but, I think that also there's a thing called View Insights on Instagram, where you can see exactly how many people it reached and how many people came back to it and how many looked at your profile, not just this. And, a post that only got 30 likes might have touched 1,500 people, mm-hmm. even if they didn't like it. So that's why I always tell people, be careful with the drama and be careful with some of the sloppy stuff or some of the unflattering stuff you put up, because a lot more people see it than you ever have imagined in your life.
Yeah,
true. You can never conceptualize how many people actually see what we put out there every day.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And I'm glad to hear that people like you are teaching some of the social media, because I think we've been duped a little bit with the processes. And then of course they change so quickly that we can't keep up. But it's true. What's your real need in the social media arena? Is it just to be liked, or is it to build your business? Is it to be able to participate in your educational events? Once you understand what your ideal focus is, then I think that it's easy to draw that.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know how to hashtag. Like, for instance, mine, I'm not doing anything for clients. It's my social media is for other hairdressers. So my content is driven towards that. And my clients, it's a happy accident if some of them get on there and like it and respond to what I'm doing. But it's so that's the other thing. Who are you after? Who is your audience? Mm-hmm. Is it other hairdressers? Is it clients? Do you want to be the best wedding hairstylist in Alabama, or do you want to be, the balayage specialist of Maui? I mean, whatever it is, then that's how you have to design it. And that's actually what's fun, because it becomes like your lifestyle magazine. That's why I tell people, put time into it and concentrate and pour all your effort into that, because that's the way we're getting seen now is our newsfeed. So it should look like our Oprah magazine. That's your Oprah magazine.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, Steve commented on that. He says that always amazes me, the views compared to the likes.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like, sometimes it's like, are we still that child inside of us that needs to be liked? And as a human, that's a very natural thing to want to be liked, but is it building your business?
That's exactly right. And sometimes the ones with the least amount of likes are the quality, not quantity. But I think there's going to be a social media rehab boom industry soon, because the American Psychiatric Association says if you post more than 3 a day selfies, you have a psychological problem. And I fully agree with that.
Yeah,
I think it's so weird.
I would agree with that too. I think that feels a little obsessive, and it does. I think it does affect, the morale and everything. So, all right. So, give us some stats here. Part of your success was winning NAHA, but you didn't win NAHA right off the bat.
No, my God, it took 8 years. I started when Van Council of Van Michael Salon won Hairstylist of the Year. I was like, I want to do that because he was my teacher at Aveda. I loved his work. I'm like, I need to do what Van's doing. So it took me 8 years. So I finally placed in 2002, and I won that year. So and then I didn't have another nomination till 2005, and I didn't win that one. And then I had a really good run from 2007 to 2014. I think I was up for something every year. And now, at this point, I've been nominated 27 times, and I've won 3. But the really good thing that I feel the most proud of is being named Hairstylist of the Year twice, because there's only 2 Americans that have done that, Alan and myself. And now he's probably going to win Master this year before me, BITCH, since I can't swear. But he's my friend. I love him, and he always does amazing work, so I can't really hate him.
Yeah.
I want to.
Charlie, what's one of the things that you still struggle with in this industry?
I think that, goal setting is so important. And once you achieve your goals, then you have to think of new goals, or your goals change. So I think keeping your eye on the prize and trying to navigate where you want your career to go, not just what the industry dictates, I think that's still the hardest part. It's never easy. And if you're an educator, you're always selling yourself. I don't care whether you're independent like me, or you work for Redken for 50 years or whatever, or Aveda, you still have to reinvent yourself constantly, just like a rock star with an album. You gotta change it up and keep, you gotta keep your identity, but change it up so people don't get bored.
Yeah, and it's not even just in the hair. It's in your persona. It's in the skills that you're learning. It's just continually putting yourself out there. And my education is not based on doing hair, but I'm still an educator at heart with everything that I'm doing in this industry.
Absolutely.
So it's always there.
And it's never easy. I don't care. Every time I get up to teach a class, it's not easy. Once I get going, I love it, and then I remember why I do. It's sort of like giving birth, You're like, oh God, what do I really want to do this? And then you get in there, and you're like, oh yeah, I love it. This is amazing. And it's connecting with hairdressers and seeing when they have the cliche of the light bulb moment is really not a cliche. It's why we do it. It feels so good to connect with somebody and make a difference.
Yeah. So what do you want to see change in the industry? And I just want to comment to Cheryl English. She says she wants to be the oldest NAHA winner. You go, Cheryl. We want you to be the oldest NAHA winner too.
And I'll buy you a shot of tequila after you win.
Yeah. I know you're here for the hair, Cheryl, but you know what? We're all about inspiration here.
So wait, what did you ask me? I got off on Cheryl.
What do you want to see change in the industry?
Oh, what do I want to see? Oh God, how could I forget that? That's such a thing. I would like to see a bunch of companies come up again. Like I want to see the next Anthony Muscolo. I want to see the next Horst. I want to see the next Vivian McKinder. And I hope they start product lines, and keep them independent. I love that Paul Mitchell is still privately owned. I mean, I love that they've been able to fend off. I mean, it's really hard. If somebody wanted to buy something of mine for $300 million, I would sell it. I don't blame these people. But I just wanted to get back to that buy hairdressers for hairdressers thing. I just don't like a bunch of people with suits telling us how to do our job, because that's why we became hairdressers, is to not have that. I don't want some MBA person from Harvard or wherever telling me how to run my business. That's not what I need. I need support and nurturing and partnerships with product lines, and it's just really hard to find that now. So that's what I hope changes.
Yeah, that's a worthy vision for our industry, and I think that there's still a lot of really good people in it that want to see that same thing happen. I think everybody wants to see education always stay on the forefront. I say that the brand for the Beauty Agent Network is, that education be the #1 selling product in the industry.
That would be awesome.
I'm still fighting for educators to be paid their worth.
Yep, that's always a struggle.
It's going to continue to be a struggle, but I'm willing to fight that fight for it, because I get that teachers don't make as much as engineers or whatever it is. I understand that the academy of it here, but the truth is that in this industry, educators need to be paid when they're educating. And
Absolutely.
I'll just continue to fight for that, because I believe that there's value in it. Now, depending on the kind of education and the educators, we have to make sure that people are offering quality, and that they've established a repertoire of skill sets that make them a good educator.
Yeah. The one of the best things that I've had as far as money is doing my own classes, because I think, if I just get 20 hairdressers together and promote it on social media, I end up making more money, and I don't have to get on a plane and wear myself out. And doing it yourself, you can end up making a lot more money. You have to work for a product line at some point. I'm not anti-product line. I don't want to sound like that. I love, as I said before, I'm a hair nerd. I love all product companies, but I think that the model needs to change with regard to compensation. But if you're independent, you can charge, you figure out quickly how much you can charge or not charge. And it's actually, I've made a lot more money per class since I've been independent than I did when I used to be associated with product companies. Having said that, at the end of my stint at Aveda and working with Revlon Professional, I was paid incredibly well, and they roll out the red carpet. So I'm not saying that you can't make a fabulous living, but that's like it's like a rock star. Only a fraction of 1% ever get to that level where they're really making a lot of money as an educator.
Yeah. But it's got to be where you invest your time and your efforts and your skills, and you're learning yourself to be a really good educator. It can't just be, I've mastered this and now I want to go teach it every now and then.
Right. And also what I've found too, and I'm sure Eric would second this, you can kind of get stuck in this circle. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm doing all these shows and classes to make money to do a NAHA shoot so that I can do more classes and shows so that I can win a NAHA. And I'm like, wait a minute, I got to start making money here. This has to start working for me. I'm like, I'm almost 50. I'm not paying my dues anymore. I've done it. So you got to be careful too, because you can invest and invest and invest and invest. But money hasn't been my goal the whole time. And I think that, like you said, teachers teach sort of because we have to and because we love it. And I'd rather just be remembered and loved for the hair that I did, and not like, oh, that guy had so many salons and made so much money. That's a different person. It's what I would rather be famous than rich, or respected as an artist. I'd rather be like Vivienne Westwood or Rei Kawakubo in fashion than be like Victoria's Secret Pink,
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to be a household name. I just need the people who really get it to know.
Yeah. So Charlie, will you share with us then, what is it you're up to now, and how share your message, let people know what you're up to and how you're making an impact in the industry?
Well, a few of my, at first it was all women, seasoned platform artists. There's like Ruth Roach and Jill Lights from Redken, and Lisa Van from Aveda, Katie Nielsen from Scruples, and my friend Sharina Hansen, who's worked with me in Denver forever and worked a lot with Aveda. We just got together and we're like, they were all happy with their product line jobs, but they're like, something's missing. And I said, well, let's do our own, independent design team. So we created the Beauty Underground, and we come together in various combinations. There's about 25 of us now. On the artistic team, we have George Aldretti from Kuhn, Ron Lopez from L'Oreal Professional. And what we do is we come together to do shows, photo collections, whether it's NAHA or whatever for a trade magazine. And we do runway shows. And we have now Underground Studios, an academy in Denver that's a photo studio and a place that I do classes. And anybody from the Beauty Underground can teach classes there as well. And we host other people. Like I just hosted Jake Thompson, who's part of our artistic team. And we did how to just do basic photo shoots. So basically we're doing bespoke education, and it's been going really well. We now branched out a little bit. We have scissors and thinning scissors, and we have session kits that are really amazing, designed by one of our underground artists. So basically what Beauty Underground is, though, like our mission is to teach other hairdressers how important they are, how to wield their power in the industry. Because really, if you get down to it, hairdressers hold all the cards.
Mm-hmm.
You can't own a salon and you can't have a product company without hairdressers. And I think they forget that. They don't understand that I loved it when I was working for a manufacturer and they said, oh, you need to buy this to sell our products and it's $2,000. I said, oh, I don't need to buy anything. You can tell me and I can decide whether I'm going to buy it or not, but you don't tell me I have to buy $2,000 worth of paper.
Yeah.
So I think people forget that they have, they are really in control, in the driver's seat. They forget, they get intimidated by a product company or what have you. And, we're not trying to create monsters, though. I want to make a distinction there. I want people to be humble and stuff, but I think that hairdressers forget that they are the center of the industry. They do. So that's really our Beauty Underground's job, is to support, advocate for, nurture, respect, and support hairstylists in the industry. That's really our goal.
Yeah, that's great. That's a really good goal. And I think you're right. People forget that we do make this industry go around. Hairdressers make the industry go around, and it's time that we step up in our power and start demanding what it is that we need and want. And, and don't, I don't buy into the conversations of diversion or Amazon, because it doesn't matter. If your client is sitting there, sell it. If they don't buy it, it's okay.
I love that you said that. I totally agree with that. I love that you said that. I don't care about diversion. That only affects the product companies. It doesn't affect us.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. So we can't be in that conversation of thinking that that's what's having us not be successful, or that we're not getting supported as we should. There's plenty of companies out there that are willing to do the support and step up to the plate. And those are the companies that we want to find and do business with.
And I always tell hairdressers, you want to work for a product company always at least once or twice in your life, because there's so much that you can learn from that experience. But you don't want to turn into like a lemming and be this, anonymous educator at a giant company where you've been there 30 years and you're going to turn around and you're like, wait a minute, what happened? I'm still at the same level I was in 1987. No, it's your own. You got to do it yourself. You're the only one that can procure success. It's not the salon or your mother or your product company. And once you realize that, then you become more valuable to everybody, your clients, your salon, your product company. And then, if you build your brand and your thing, then you have so much more to offer a product company. Because in their defense, they have thousands of hairdressers and they have to figure out how to fulfill them. And you got to fulfill yourself.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And, and I think that's what the Beauty Agent Network is about too. It's really just giving a platform for educators to be able to get showcased a little bit more, and even if you work, if you've got an open contract with a company, you're welcome to be on the Beauty Agent Network. And the way that we've set it up now, it's very simple. And we're going to continue to be doing the spotlight programs like this every other week. And as we build up our level of education and educators, because that's what I say, educators educating, we'll be able to do these every week and showcase another shining star like you, Charlie.
Oh, thanks. Thank you for that characterization.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. And we want to start recognizing it, because one of the things I hear a lot, and Eric Charles, you're one of these people that I hear say this all the time, is we got to make sure that the history of our industry is kept intact. And, we all know that, beauty school students are in beauty school and they have no idea who Vidal Sassoon is.
That's so tragic.
Yeah, that's part of that. That's part of that dynamic that I think Quincy Jones was talking about when I had shared that story, that the foundation is important. But here's the thing. You have a piece of that foundation, and it's your responsibility to share it with others. And I have a piece of it, and it's my responsibility to share it with others. This may be more of what my forte is than, showcasing a haircut. But, this is what our responsibility is now. And we can share the stories that we have of the people we've worked with, even if they're not sharing them anymore. It's okay for us to be doing it and keep that foundation and that strength alive of this industry.
Absolutely. Horst Stories used to say that when a shaman dies, it's like a library burns down. And I think that's, Vidal Sassoon is gone, Horst is gone. And so those of us that knew those people, I didn't really know Vidal Sassoon at all, but I remain such a fan of Sassoon and what they do, and love working with Tracy at Secosits at Fashion Week and stuff. And I just think they're the pinnacle of our industry, and we don't want to let whims of the trends change it to a degree where we forget the history of of it. And it's our responsibility, the ones that did know Horst and did know Vidal Sassoon, to make sure that they're not forgotten, because they shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's true. So that's gonna be our mission at the Beauty Agent Network. I know it's your mission at Beauty Underground.
Absolutely.
And thanks everybody for joining us. And if you got questions for Charlie, please feel free to ask. I know that this is we got some good absolutelys, we got some applauses. Thank you, Venica and Cheryl, Eric, Steve, you guys for joining us and allowing some of the comments to be shared. I appreciate all the support. And who's next? Who's next on the spotlight? It could be you. And if it is you, then you're going to be a part of the Beauty Agent Network. You'll have a profile up on our page. You'll be able to share the education that you're offering and be able to share stories like Charlie's and the inspiration that he brings to the industry.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night, everybody. Thanks for being with us.